Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Okay, welcome everybody. Here we are, Baruch Hashem, another share for Shaar HaBitachon. Did I do this correctly? Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah, I think that should be perfect. Okay, now we're all set. Nothing like talking to yourself. Thanks, guys. No, because I just see myself. Okay, so I wanted to share something very, very special, which for anyone watching a recording in the future, this will probably not be the same date, but today's Hayom Yom, I feel like it was very, very appropriate for our share. So I'm going to read it and then we're going to explain and then we're going to go into the book. So there are 3 kinds of meditation. They are, all right, A, meditation associated with study. After a person understands a concept thoroughly, he meditates on its depth until its intellectual content illuminates him, right? So thing 1 is that when you study something, which studying in of itself isn't meditating. Studying is studying. Then to sit for a moment and think about what you just studied, that's called meditating. Okay, so number 1 is you studied something and you're going to sit in your mind and you're going to review it. That's meditation, or think about it, or think about how it applies to you, or whatever. B, meditation before praying. The point here is to experience the vitality of the concept that one has studied, not its intellectual aspect, as in the case of meditation associated with study, right? So let's say we study something like just Shaar HaBitachon, right? And you learn it and you sit here and you think about it. And then let's say you take a moment at some point, whether later tonight or tomorrow or the next day, and you go through it again and you're like, oh, wow, okay, this is what I learned at Shaar HaBitachon share. Then right before you daven, you're not trying to review the points. A lot of people get this messed up. It's not that you're trying to remember, the question was this, like in a sikha, the question was this, and point number 1 was that. And then the Rebbe said it's not good because of that. And then it's point number 2. And then the Rebbe said it's not good because, right? That's our job is not to have an intellectual step-by-step. Our job is to, as it says here, experience the vitality of the concept. Live with the idea. Live with the point of what you just learned. And number 3, or C, meditation in the course of prayer. The purpose here is to sense the divinity within the concept one has studied. So for example, we learned Shaar HaBitachon, right? Now tomorrow morning you sit and you're like, okay, we discussed this point and this point and this point. Beautiful. Very nice. Now, right before davening, you said, how does this make me feel? How am I feeling more calm? How am I feeling like I have more bitachon in Hashem? How do I feel like I can relax? Like, how do I connect with this in a non-intellectual point by point, topic by topic way? And then while you're davening, you want to connect to the source of it, which in Bitachon is pretty simple because the source is trusting in Hashem. So therefore it's Hashem. So then when you're davening, you can think about and connect to the divine source. The fact that this Shaar HaBitachon is a book, but that book is trying to help you live a more godly life, because who's in charge and who takes care of everything? Hashem. And that's the process. A lot of people, I remember when I was learning how to daven, and a lot of people are like, okay, while you're saying the words that you mumble by heart, think of all the points you learned in the mimer that you learned in the morning. It's like, no, we're having different, this is like not, scatterbrains. You end up like, blah, 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 while thinking about something else. No, think about what you're saying, and the feeling that you get is to connect to the source of everything, which is Hashem. So while you daven, you can live with Shaar HaBitachon by connecting to Hashem. These are the 3 rungs of the ladder of spiritual sensitivity, right? So we go from learning something and thinking about it, to connecting to it before davening, to during davening connecting to the source of it, which is Hashem. And it's a ladder of spiritual sensitivity. At times, solely due to Hashem's grace, one senses divinity without any form of service, right? So we could just have like wonderful davening just because Hashem wants us to have wonderful davening. This is a result of the essential quality of the soul. However, with regard to divine service that stems from our own initiative, the above 3 steps are necessary, right? So I think this is a very appropriate time because, as I hope everyone's doing, you're hopefully reviewing what we learned and you're able to implement it into your life, and how much more so you're able to do so through davening. Okay, so am I screaming? You guys can hear me? Great. Now, we are in this sefer. We are, Baruch Hashem, still in the introduction. Don't worry, chapter 1 is super short, so I know the introduction feels very long. Chapter 1 is literally like 2 pages. So we're getting there, we're getting there. We are currently on page, we left off on page 13. And for anyone who didn't yet listen to last week's had a lot to do with parnasa, a lot to do with how much we stress about our income and how much we stress about where the money's coming from and all that. So that was last week. And now we're going to discuss peace of mind and serenity. And again, we're going to go back. This is just introduction. We're just getting a little taste of each of these topics. And then through Shaar HaBitachon, we're going to discuss them more in depth. Okay, so let's start with that. So we are page 13 in the middle where it says peace of mind and serenity. Okay, among the Torah benefits of Bitachon, a person who trusts in Hashem, his trust will bring him to turn his heart away from a preoccupation with worldly matters and instead dedicate himself to matters of divine service, right? So last week we said, if we spend a lot of time stressing about, oh my gosh, how are my bills going to get paid? How is money coming in? What's it going to be? Is my check really going to come? What if my check comes and then I get a parking ticket and then half the check goes there? And at the end of the day, we could spend a lot of time where our heart is so stressed and our mind is so stressed about parnasa that we end up not really focusing so well in our divine service. And how can we connect to Hashem? Which is one of the beautiful things we can't wait for with Mashiach, to be able to really give Torah learning. You know how sometimes we open a sefer and then we get a bing and a boom and a bop and a buzz and right? And it's like, oh, and then we have the sefer open and we're like kind of doing this, right? Or we open up a sefer, but the entire time we're stressing out about whatever we're stressing out of, right? So many times our relationship with Hashem gets put on the side burner because we're so stressed out with our worldly materialistic things. And when we're able to have bitachon and when we're able to say, okay, Hashem's taking care of me, Hashem's taking care of where my parnasa comes from, Hashem's taking care of, that it's going to go to all the right places. So then we're able to be more relaxed and we're able to really put our energy in connecting to Hashem and doing our what we were literally brought here to do. Kind of like the story about the schmaltz, the schmaltz. This guy goes to this other country where he hears that there's diamonds everywhere, and he arrives there and wow, there's diamonds, push it everywhere. He starts like sticking his pockets full of diamonds and diamonds and diamonds, and then he gets hungry after all this diamond search. And he walks over to a restaurant, orders a meal. Now he's a multi-millionaire with all of his diamonds. He's for sure going to just drop a few diamonds on there and they'll give him everything in the kitchen. And he goes to pay and he drops off 2 or 3 diamonds. And the guy's like, what is this? Why are you putting that here? He's like, what do you mean I'm paying for my food? No. Over here, our money is schmaltz, chicken schmaltz. So the guy then has to go roll up his sleeves, get into the back of the kitchen, wash and scrub until he makes enough money to get some chicken schmaltz. And he finally gets chicken schmaltz, and he spends months and months and months acquiring more and more chicken schmaltz. And through this process, he becomes a multi-million chicken schmaltzer. And he comes back with a boat full of chicken schmaltz, and he arrives and he goes stinky and disgusting and schmaltzy. And he like comes and running to his wife and says, "Look, honey, look what I brought for us." And he forgot that he had originally gone for diamonds, and he came back with schmaltz. And his wife was obviously not so thrilled. So many times we spend it here, acquiring our chicken schmaltz, and we're making more money, and we're focusing more on our materialistic needs, and we're spending more time and more stress and more, we're bibbity boobity bobbiting on our phone about every last political situation and the votes and the lack of votes and the whatever. And we really miss the fact that we're here to grab diamonds. So this is exactly what it just said. So in order to do that, let's take a moment, if everyone's able to. And you know what? I think this would even be more powerful. Where's our little bucket of here? If you want, you can take a yellow napkin that we have, and you can take a pen and take a moment on your yellow napkin and write something that's stressing you out right now.
I don't know if
That
was a lot of uncomfortable laughter.
Yeah. You don't have to
bring it to the surface. It's like
you don't have to share with anyone. It could be your secret little yellow napkin, and write something that's stressing you out. Something that's really
Anyone need napkins? Are we gonna rip this up further?
Yeah.
Are we gonna have
On fire. Exactly. Well, when we get there and it's sprinkled in yellow, we'll know exactly who. Woo! Mazel tov. And everyone at home watching, also take a moment, find the yellow napkin and a living chassidus pen. Just exactly, you have to fit in. No, but anyway, find somewhere where you can write something that's stressing you out. Okay, I'm gonna give one more minute. Beeping and booping and bopping.
Yeah. How many things do you want?
Let's start with one, as many as you want, but let's start with one.
Oh, well, in that case,
You can write more. Okay.
Kind of all related.
Now, if you take a moment, no, you can do as many as you want. Go. But if you take a moment and if you were to know that the thing you're gold napkin now. Next person's turn. The thing that you're stressed out about, imagine if you already knew that it was going to work out. And it was going to work out for the best, like exactly the way that you think. Exactly the way that you think is the best. That you think. Exactly the way that you think is the best. Okay? So now it all worked out. It's all.
Imagine how it could work out.
Okay. That's a.
I feel like
well.
I'm a real pessimist in this particular area.
Okay. Well, imagine Hashem, the Almighty, omnipotent, was gonna make it work beautifully. Not the pessimistic us, but the awesome God was gonna make it work beautifully, right? So now, imagine and write down on your little napkin what would be at least one thing you would do or say differently right now? If you already knew that this issue was going to be worked out, like it's all resolved, it's all going to be great, what would you do or say right now? Like what, how would your, well, in your life stage, in your life stage.
If it worked out with us, what would I do differently right now?
Yeah, like what would be different for you?
If I knew that it's going to work out perfectly, exactly
Yes.
how I want it,
Yes.
better, let's say, what
Yes.
do I do right now?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Other than listen to Shaar, like I mean.
Other than being classic.
Exactly. What would you do right now? Like what would be different? How would you be different? What would you say? What would your attitude be? That's a good start. Okay. And write that down.
Get what you're doing with the field. I'll agree with it.
She's catching up.
I think.
Okay. Now.
You should be feeling those things now. You should be doing those things now. I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, my response is feeling. I'm just like relieved.
Okay, that's fine. Feeling different is also good. But some people, for example, are too afraid to do something because they're nervous of the outcome. Or they're too afraid to take that risk, or they're too afraid to make that phone call, or
there's a part of the process that is so annoying, that is so not in sync with your personality,
that we're avoiding.
that we're doing it, but it's really annoying.
Okay, there you go. So that whole part. So now let's take a moment and reread what we just read, okay? Among the Torah benefits of Bitachon, a person who trusts in Hashem, his trust will bring him to turn his heart away from the preoccupation of worldly matters, right? If we knew that everything was going to work out, we would not be stressing out about these worldly matters, and instead dedicate himself to matters of divine service. Now, let's go down in the little asterisk thingamabobber. Dedicate himself to matters of divine service. A primary disturbance of man's divine service is material worry. How will he provide for his family? How will he attain his needs? A person who trusts in Hashem will provide, that Hashem will provide, will not have to battle these concerns, and this peace of mind will allow him to dedicate himself to divine service. So by us not being stressed out, how would our lives change? Not only will we feel relief, but we'd probably have better ability to make the right priorities in our life. We would probably spend less time, honing in and focusing on that thing that's stressing us out, and therefore we'd have more time to do what we're really meant to do in this world, right? What's our real purpose here? And that's what we would have more time for.
They say worry is like a rocking chair. You feel like you're moving, but you're not going.
I love that. Worry is like a rocking chair. You feel like you're moving, but you're not going anywhere. That's exactly.
I've heard it said, it's that concept, but I've heard it said in a better way, but that's the concept.
I live with that. I live with that.
I think you're accomplishing something, but if you're
just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
You're not going anywhere. It's as good as a stationary bike.
Right.
If you want to go somewhere, if you want to work out.
That's a different story. Okay. In terms of the tranquility of his soul, peace of mind, and lack of worry regarding worldly matters, he can be compared to an alchemist, which is a person who knows how to transform silver to gold and copper to iron to silver through his talents and efforts. Such a person, if it were possible, would have little worry regarding his livelihood, right? So if anybody doesn't yet know about an alchemist, so an alchemist back in the day was somebody who through finding different metals and basically cooking them and mixing them with other, it's basically like chemistry. He was mixing them and cooking them, and it had to stay through, hours and hours of maintaining the same temperature, and then it would go through color, like it would change colors, and Like it was a whole process, and they thought or they felt they would be able to make gold or silver or so like it wasn't exact. It was kind of like science. It was a science, not necessarily that it work, but it was their attempt at science. And so imagine if you have something very cheap and you're able to like cook it and move it and you add extra thingamabobbers and suddenly it turns into gold, then you feel in your own mind, at least, that you're rich for forever. If you know how to make gold, then you're golden. But and then you don't have to stress about it, right? So that's what an alchemist felt. An alchemist felt that they would be able to literally create gold, create silver, just like that, and then they never have to work ever again in their lives. Now, let's see how that works out for them. A person who has bitachon can be compared to someone whose livelihood is secure, quote unquote, which, by the way, many of us, we have regular paychecks, Baruch Hashem, sometimes might feel like our livelihood is secure because he knows how to transform cheap materials into gold and silver and therefore has little to worry about. In fact, the author will now establish a person who has bitachon is superior to an alchemist. So even if we have the best paying job on earth, even if we have our salary guaranteed by a contract, we're going to have our salary for the entire year. It's going to be wonderful and amazing and beyond anything we ever need, right? That level of feeling secure is not even as high as real, true bitachon in Hashem. Now, more.
What was that? Knowing that we have to paycheck less than having trust in God.
Yes.
Okay.
Like trusting in God is going to bring you.
Take you further.
Correct. It's going to take you further than that. That is
That's
very
right.
true. Moreover, a person who has bitachon is superior in 10 ways. First of all, the alchemist needs specific materials for his work and cannot complete it without them. These tools are not accessible at all times and in all places, right? So he at least needs to start with some sort of metal. He also needs to start with some sort of cooking situation. Usually they had these little pots and they put fire under it and then they stirred it and stirred it and stirred it or let it still and then it changed colors. But he needs a pot, he needs a stir, he needs the fire, he needs the materials, he needs, right? So he needs all this stuff to make it happen.
And all we need is the fun.
There you go. Whereas the person who trusts in Hashem, not accessible at all times and all places. Okay, let's look at the asterisk going down. The alchemist needs specific materials, etc. Even if an alchemist were successful, he would still need certain materials which might not always be available in order to support himself. Whereas a person who relies on Hashem is not limited at all by any technical difficulties because Hashem can provide him with a livelihood from any source in the world. Therefore, a person who has bitachon can feel even more relaxed and free from worry than the alchemist because the former's livelihood is much more secure, right? So trusting on Hashem, Hashem can literally find a way to bring you parnasa any way, shape, and form. Like it could come out of seemingly nowhere. I'll tell you a story. A few years ago, I took my kids for Sunday Fun Day and we went to somewhere near Central Park. I don't remember exactly where it was. And as we were getting back on the subway to come home, my husband was like recharging the card and I saw between two of the little turnstile things, so there was a laptop case and it was just like hanging out over there. And I saw this group of people. This is, again, it's like Manhattan and the uppers. So I saw this group of people. So I kind of like waited around to see, and then suddenly they all walked away and they left the laptop case. So I grabbed it and I walked over to them. I was like, "Hey, is this yours?" And they all said, "No, it's not ours. It was here before." I'm like, "Okay, interesting." So I walked over to the subway kiosk thing where the lady was. And I said, by the way, someone left this. They might be coming back to find. I mean, it's a laptop. Like, it's pretty fancy. I think we want to get it. So I said, they might be coming back. Can I give it to you? And when somebody comes and asks you, like, you can give it back to them. And her response was, if it doesn't fit in this slot, I can't take it. Okay. All right. So, all right.
And first I went to New York, like.
Exactly. Apparently. So I decide, I'm like, I could either leave it on the street and then it for sure is gonna get stolen, or I trust myself to work hard to find the owner and let's see what I can do. And like, I can try my hardest to get it back to the owner. So I take it with us and we go down the subway. As I'm, schlepping the kids in, we finally find a seat. And I open this was on a Sunday. So I open it up and I see that inside, like next to the laptop, is a bunch of papers. A lot of papers. So turns out this person was some sort of therapist and she had like all her client notes over there. And it turns out that she had just bought a house and she had all the house papers in there. Oh my is right. So there, I couldn't find a single phone number anywhere except for the header on the top of her client, whatever's where her office was. This was Sunday afternoon. For sure, it's closed. So by the time I came home, it was nighttime, bedtime for the kids. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll call first thing in the morning. Monday morning, I call and I say, hi, I'm looking for so-and-so. I found her laptop. Is there any way? Oh, she's not in the office. Can I take a message? I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure she wants this laptop. So you can tell her to call me. This is my number. Less than an hour later, she calls me. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you just saved my life. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I know. Not to mention it was a MacBook. So it was like, I know. And then she said, where do you live? I'm going to come. I'll pick it up. So I told her I live in Brooklyn, which is like a bit of a schlep for her, but like it's worth it for her stuff. So she came over and I got to meet her. She thanked me profusely and she handed me a thank you card. Now let's rewind. 2 weeks before this Sunday Fun Day, I have a crazy, insane, oh my gosh, it's this one. I have insane, miraculous sheitlach, like miracle stories of sheitlach. And I had this sheitel that was waiting and it really needed to get dyed. And it wasn't within our budget. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for the next, whatever, next month or whatever. And then we'll try and put it into the budget. And to dye a sheitel at that point in time, I don't know how much it is now, but at that point in time, it was $100. And so I put the sheitel aside and lo and behold, this woman hands me a thank you card. And inside there is a gift card, a Visa card for exactly $100. So you never know where things can come from. Baruch Hashem.
So just, there's
yes.
Not that we get paid to do mitzvahs, but it's like that was a nice vessel for that.
That is true. But the beauty of it is, if I were hustling to try and make $100, I probably wouldn't have noticed this mitzvah opportunity that was in front of me.
Was she Jewish?
She actually was not, but I think her partner was. I think I sent something. We did something. Yeah. No. But she did say, it's actually funny you mentioned it. She did say, if you ever need anything, one day maybe I'll call her. I might need something. Yeah. And she just bought a house. Anyway, my point is, which was exactly what we're saying here. If we're not stressed about the gashmias all the time, and we're more on a higher perspective, looking for mitzvahs, looking for opportunities to do good things, looking for our source or the reason why Hashem put us in this world, sometimes things work out in the best way possible without us having to rock in that rocking chair back and forth. So the stress of the idea of whatever's stressing us sometimes creates a funnel, like a tunnel vision for us, that we're not able to see the outer perspective of our purpose in the world. So
sometimes, like, you know, like there's main things and nice things about your job. Like, what's the barometer of, like, this is what you're meant to do? Like, I should have to polish your content, and the barometer, like, no, this is like, this is what you just said that. Is it stress? Is it that, like, you enjoy it? Like, what's the?
I'm not sure I understand, to be honest.
Like, for example, right? Like right now I'm doing storytelling. I'm stitched. I'm actually really trying to understand clients all over again.
You're doing street what?
Storytelling.
Oh, storytelling.
So and like I hate the phone calls and social media and the whole then you get clients. So it's like, do you know what I mean?
What's the question?
What's like, how do I know like I'm investing enough time into like trying to get clients versus
Okay.
like, okay, no, now you just stepped into reliance on, do you know what I mean?
Are you saying like,
So-
so what degree do you do?
Like, what did you do with Shaar? Is it annoyance factor? Is it stress factor? Is it?
Doing an action and your feeling towards an action is two separate things. So making the phone calls or making a list of the phone calls so that you can then make the phone calls, or doing your social media or whatever, doing that action could be considered making your stadlos. Stressing out about it and being upset about it, or being like feeling heavy in the weight of this thing, that is stepping out of the bitachon. Either, I don't know if you stop doing that thing, because if not, you might just avoid all the annoying things for the rest of your life. I don't know if you need to stop doing it, but it's more like you need to reframe your mindset and put Hashem in the driver's seat. Yeah, that's also a good idea. Set specific goals, but like,
like compare what would be done in this type of situation if you're not putting too much physical struggles practically. It's completely unreasonable amount you're doing.
yeah.
And that's also.
And see, having, which is another, like, would be a type of thing, like having someone that you, or a friend that you can discuss, like, okay, am I doing too much? Also, the reminder, which is that, like, set your priorities as top. Like, you're in this world, and it's possible that it is your shlichus, and like you have to do this work in order to, you know, like shluchim can't be like, okay, well, I don't want to call donors, or I don't want to, like, no fundraising for me, or not even fundraising. Like, I don't want to invite anyone for Shabbos. It's so uncomfortable to make that phone call. Like, so then you gotta do what you gotta do, you know. But the idea is that, let's say you set a priority for yourself to do your whatever makes you feel inspired, whether it's learn Shaar Bitachon or whether it's do chitas or whatever. Do that first so you can boost yourself with Hashem glasses. And then when you have Hashem glasses, then you're able to reapproach this with a more godly perspective. Like, I'm not making these phone calls because my phone call is going to get me more money. I'm making these phone calls because I need to make the keli. Hashem's going to decide which one of these is going to be my customer, and which one's going to pay me a lot and which one's going to pay me a little. Does that make sense? Okay. Let me see how we're doing. Okay, great. Beautiful. Great. Okay. So, first of all, back into the text. First of all, right? So we're giving 10 ways in which having bitachon in Hashem is better than an alchemist, which we can also consider it for ourselves. Like, having bitachon in Hashem is better than whatever plan we're currently might be relying on. But right now we're discussing specifically an alchemist. First of all, the alchemist needs specific materials for his work and cannot complete it without them. These tools are not accessible at all times and in all places. Whereas the person who trusts in Hashem has his sustenance guaranteed from any means available in the world. As the Pasuk says regarding the man that the Yidden ate in the desert, so that he would make you known that man does not live by bread alone, but by whatever comes from the mouth of Hashem does man live, right? So Hashem could choose to send you. It's possible he doesn't send you the money, but it's possible he sends you a friend to come help you do the thing you needed to do. Or it's possible he doesn't give you exactly the paycheck how you wanted it, but then somebody drops off dinner and like, oh wow, great. I don't have to pay for tonight's dinner. Or like, it can come in any way, shape, or form, and Hashem's able to do that. Find a laptop, exactly. That's exactly it.
Put it out there.
Yes.
Random example.
Random. I don't know where you got that from. In the desert, the Jews were not sustained by Hashem in the usual way. We're on page 15. In the usual way, through consumption of regular food. Instead, he sustained them by providing the man, which fell freely from heaven. This illustrates that Hashem is not limited to the natural order. Rather, he can provide from us in any matter he wishes. So now let's take one moment. Take a moment. Take a quick peek at your yellow napkin and realize. So many people are. Now I wonder if you have pen marks on your face. So that's a different story. But anyway, now imagine if Hashem was able to give you a solution to this in a way that you didn't even think was possible, or a way you didn't even think about. Like, it's possible that Hashem is going to give you the perfect answer, even though it's not the method or the exact cookie cutter path that you had in mind. And that's what we're saying. Hashem can give you a solution to your personal struggle in a totally different way you don't even know exists. And all you have to do is realize that he can and trust him, that he'll help you in whichever way it comes.
He also asked.
Absolutely. We must ask Hashem. We do that at least 3 times a day, or 2 and a bit. Okay, back on page 15. Yes. Yep. For no means of providing sustenance is lacking from Hashem at any time or in any place. As you know from the story of Eliyahu, with the ravens and the widow. Okay, so now let's take a moment. Story time. Hello, welcome. So I love when it says, as you know, it's like, oh, right, because I obviously know every single story in Torah ever. So let's take a moment and learn some stories. So the cute little asterisk, go down on the page, and it says, Eliyahu with the ravens and the widow. After Eliyahu Navi proclaimed to the wicked King Ahab and his wife, how do you say that? Jezebel? Izabel? Izabel. Ahab and Izabel. Yeah, I'm learning. That there would be a famine. Okay, so right, he came and he told them that there's going to be a famine and no rain would fall until Eliyahu would allow it. Hashem told Eliyahu to hide from retribution at the brook of the Cherith. Sounds so biblical. Near the Jordan. Hashem promised that he would command ravens to sustain him there with food, and that Eliyahu would have water from the brook. Eliyahu listened to Hashem and it states, the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening. That sounds like a wonderful, it's buf and ban, that's like perfect. Bread and meat, I'll take it. According to the Gemara, the ravens took him food from King Ahab's kitchen. Okay, so not only did it take him food, but he took it from the enemy's own kitchen. It must have been kosher. After the brook died up due to lack of rain, right? Because he had told him, he said that there's going to be a famine and there's not going to be any rain. So after the brook dried up, Hashem commanded Eliyahu to go to the city of Tzarfat. where a certain widow would take care of him. Indeed, as he entered the city, the widow was at the city's gate collecting wood, and she gave Eliyahu water to drink, right? So now, how did he get saved? He listened to Hashem. He didn't go home and say like, maybe I should pack some snacks. He listened to Hashem, and Hashem told him that the raven's gonna drop off some bufenbun and some bread and meat for breakfast and bread and meat for dinner. And what happened? Hashem dropped off bread and meat for breakfast and bread and meat for dinner. And not only that, Hashem told him the brook is going to give you water. And what happened? The brook gave him water. And even after that happened, he could have been like, oh, Hashem told me it's going to give me water. And now the brook doesn't exist anymore. But he went back to say, okay, whatever. That can't possibly be true because Hashem is taking full care of me. So therefore, there must be another solution. And Hashem told him that this widow is going to take care of him, right? So throughout this entire time, he didn't get his sustenance in the exact same cookie cutter way that he pictured it every single day. He got it exactly in the way that Hashem wanted him to have it.
Different burger every day.
Exactly. The New Yorker, the morning scramble, good job. Okay, going back into the text, right? So that was story time number 1. Story time number 2. And so, for no means of providing sustenance is lacking from Hashem at any time or any place, right? So that's the point we're trying to make. Now, story time number 2. And from how Hashem sustained him in the coal baked with, rewind. How Hashem sustained him with the coal baked cake and a flask of water. So now back down to the little asterisk. The coal baked cake and a flask of water. After the showdown between Eliyahu and the false prophets of Baal at Mount Carmel, the entire Jewish nation accepted the kingdom of Hashem as well as Eliyahu's leadership. Eliyahu then bade the people to kill all the false prophets and not let any escape. Upon hearing this, Queen Isabel sent a message to Eliyahu that he would meet the same fate. Eliyahu escaped to the desert, but he asked Hashem to take his life. Eliyahu then fell asleep. When an angel tapped him and told him to rise and eat because he had a long journey ahead of him, Eliyahu looked up and found a coal-baked cake and a flask of water near his head. Now that is, what are they called? The
bedside service.
Bedside service, yeah. What is it called? Breakfast in bed. There we go. Breakfast in bed right there. Okay. These stories illustrate that Hashem is not limited by nature and will always provide those who rely on him with their needs. This concept can also be seen in the story of Obadiah with the prophets, about which he said, I hid 100 men of the prophets of the Lord, 50 men in each cave, and I provided them with bread and water. Story time number 3, asterisk on the bottom. The story of Obadiah. Obadiah was a God-fearing prophet who survived the wrath of the evil king Ahab and later apparently was unaware of his allegiances. When the wicked Queen Isabel had the prophets of Hashem killed, Obadiah, who was spared by the king, saved 100 prophets. Despite their dire situation, Hashem found the way to feed these prophets through Obadiah. How powerful is that? So he literally saved 100 of them. Can you imagine? That takes right an hour to tell you. You're going to have to feed 100 people hidden in 2 separate caves. I think a few people might have panic attack, say the least, right? And he somehow figured it out. Hashem helped him. Hashem was there. So sometimes we have a plan. Sometimes we have, something falls on our lap and we're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to plan a Sunday fun day in less than 3 days? And then Hashem helps you. Can you call me Chal? But in reality, sometimes when we rely on our own ability, we're not able to see the true extent of our potential. And we're not able to see that Hashem has already given us the ability to do so. And it might not be the cookie cutter exact way. Like Obadiah, I don't know how he did it, but he figured it out. We all somehow figured it out at every stage of our lives. Like my husband's favorite comment that he makes is, it's all gonna work out. It's just a matter about how much we stress. Like, it's all going to work out, just a matter of how much we stress. Like, why should I stress extra if I don't need to? I already know that it's all going to work out. Perfect. Okay, back on page 15, the last line of the main text. And as it says in Tehillim, young lions suffer want and are hungry, but those who seek Hashem do not lack any good. And as the preceding verse says, fear the Lord, his holy ones, for there is no lack for those who fear him. In the last two psukim, we see once again that those who rely on Hashem do not lack anything. As mentioned, this is because Hashem has unlimited ability to provide for those who rely on him. The second manner, right? So now we're saying that an alchemist is this person who makes metals and he thinks he can suddenly magically transform all this like cheap garbage into magical gold, right? And he feels that he's secure with his parnasa because at any point in time, he can just whip up some gold coins and pay for anything he needs. Now, we're saying 10 things that are better about someone who has bitachon than someone who relies on his alchemy. So thing number 2, the second manner in which a person who has bitachon is superior to an alchemist, that is, the alchemist needs to perform certain actions and procedures in order to produce the silver and gold and cannot reach his goal without them. Additionally, it is possible that the fumes and the smoke that he inhales will cause him to die as a result of his working consistently and spending long amounts of time toiling with them day and night, right? So as I said, he takes a little pot or a big pot and he mixes stuff and he heats it up and he mixes it some more and then he waits. Apparently they had this whole like system that first has to turn white and then they add something or other and then it turns yellow and then they add something other and then it turns what? Turmeric, exactly. And then add some paprika or and it turns red. And like they had a whole system of how they turn things different colors, but he has to do this whole process. Now, nowadays we know that it's exactly, thank you for putting it that way. Certain things are toxic, such as that microphone that I discussed earlier. And nowadays, hopefully we're aware of more than, we're more aware of them. But in reality, back in the day, they did not know that much, or they didn't really realize. And smelling all these fumes consistently and carrying them on their body because they had to schlep it from place to place, as we'll discuss later on over here, that was actually very toxic for them. So they think they're being a chacham, they think they're doing something that's going to give them amazing parnasa, they're going to have the best life ever. And in reality, that thing itself is causing them harm. So now let's think, could there be a possibility that sometimes we may be doing something that we think is going to be best for us and we think is like really opening this channel because I must work hard for or I must stress and raise my high blood pressure, or I must put myself in a situation where it's, you know, I have to go to a meeting on Shabbos. I mean, I don't know if this is, hopefully it's not relevant to us here, but, you know, I feel like if I don't shake that person's hand, like they're not going to give me the deal that we're looking for, or whatever it is. Sometimes the same action that we think is creating us good might be harming us. It may not be what's best for us. So keeping in mind that the alchemist is doing something day in, day out, sniffing these things, but you know, he's just mixing it and the fumes come in, it might be detrimental to him. So conversely, a person who relies on Hashem is secure from any mishaps in the present and also feels secure that no bad will happen to him in the future. So now let's go down to the little asterisk. Secure from any mishaps in the present and also feel secure that no bad will happen to him in the future There are people who, although content about their present situation, are worried about the future. Don't raise your hand, because I know many of us are. What will be? How is it going to work out? They are constantly worried about that their future may change. God forbid. The person who places his trust in Hashem is not only certain about his current situation, he is also certain and assured about his future. Let's let that settle for a minute. Right? So as I said in the beginning, when I said everyone should write down on your little yellow napkin, the purpose was, or one of the main purposes was, to realize that we can also bring Bitachon into the future. If you already knew that this thing was gonna work out, it's gonna be perfect, exactly how it's meant to be, how does that make you feel now? How does that change your lifestyle, your attitude, your actions, your thought process now? And we can carry this not just to, okay, right now I'm fine, right now I'm fine, right now I'm fine, right now I'm fine. Which we may not be. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, exactly.
Fine.
I'm fine. But also in the future, we're fine. It's gonna be fine. In our future, it's all going to work out. Here.
Oh, yeah.
What? Yes, and that's why we come to Bitachon Shir.
Okay.
And we bring about it together. Uh-huh. Yes, and also have in mind, we're this far in and we have this much to go.
Don't worry, I've got like this far in, like 5, not
It's a muscle. You know, just because I brushed my teeth 10 years ago, it's you know.
Carry me through my whole life.
Right. I worked out last month. You know, yeah. I'm good. I'll go do a hike. Okay, back to the main text.
let this stress comes from that housing, like doing culture past that. Fine, I have that. I think back to stories that happened in the past that
Okay, that's good. That's really nice. That's really, really nice.
You have to train it, and then you go through a phase where your brain gets untrained. You have to train somebody like, I knew this last year.
Yes, and it's a constant. It's a constant, and that's that exactly. That's the struggle of living in Gullus. It's a.
I think the stress is like, it's like I'm taking it for myself. Like I'm thinking that I'm in control. It's like.
Right.
That's what stress is. That's what worry is. Worry is like I'm in control. It's like literally not the case. You know,
Right.
What am I like? You know. Oh, you know. I watched a very interesting video of this rabbi who was talking about how like this halacha can't sit in your father's chair. It's the same idea with like Hashem. Don't try to sit in Hashem's chair.
Whoa! I like that.
Don't try to be Hashem.
Don't.
I'm not running my life. I like.
Doing the pieces, yeah. Wow.
But don't.
The halacha of not sitting in your father's chair can also be applied to don't sit in God's chair.
Like don't like I think that's
Boom.
the source of our worry, our like frustration. It's like I think I'm in control. And it's like who gave me that idea?
Let me send that back to the wide shoulders of God. these shoulders can't handle it.
It's a very interesting line up here. It says, as mentioned, because God has unlimited ability to provide for those who rely on Him. You have to rely on God, and then Hashem will have a limited ability. Now, of course, Hashem has a limited ability anyway, no matter really. But if you shift your perspective and put on Hashem glasses,
Hashem glasses.
you put on the Hashem glasses, that opens you up to like the unlimited ability to provide.
Yeah, and as we discussed a few weeks ago, that the beauty on it is that you'll see Hashem's hand in it.
Right.
Everything in your life is a shkoch pratis. Everything. And Hashem creates and fixes and moves and shifts and whatever exactly how it's meant to be. The beauty of Bitachon is that you'll live a much more calm life and you'll see Hashem's hand in everything. You'll be able to see why this worked out because of this. And it'll all click into the right place. And you'll see that, you'll appreciate it. Yeah. Wow. That's very powerful. Yeah, I love that one. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, last line on page 16. His sustenance will come to him in a restful, calm, and peaceful manner. Exactly what we just said. You can be relaxed because Hashem is going to take care of you, and it'll come to you in a restful, calm, and peaceful manner. Since yes.
Like this is very but there's just like kind of like that wants to be for stuff, not like physical like money, but like you need to use your talent or your time, like it's like an emotional need sustenance or you know what I mean? Emotional sustenance, right? Like the F word sustenance. It's worrying about other people. Well, yeah, like they're very important.
Give us some example. I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm not sure I'm understanding it.
Not only like, okay, I know Hashem's going to provide you with honesty. Most people, like most, especially for single girl, it's pretty easy to get yourself a job that, especially like with money.
Okay.
It is, but like to find a job that not only meets your goals, but also you feel emotionally satisfied, like mentally satisfied, like it's using your talents and your skills.
Oh, the job itself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this applies to everything. This applies to a husband. This applies to your parent-child relationship. This applies to your strife with your roommate. Like, absolutely. This applies to all aspects. Not sustenance doesn't just mean parnasa. It means
All aspects.
Clarity, like your ability to succeed, your personal tafkid in the world. You'll see your gifts that need to be brought out. Yeah.
Like we're saying how Hashem provides for everything, and we're saying that he's good, but Galus equals comes to the root, no matter what.
Yes.
So even for sure, I know who's and us here, they had hard lives. So for you to tell me to trust Hashem, and for me to know that whenever you do something will be good, but that I'm going to be paying for different things that are hard, how am I supposed to trust?
I feel you. You have I think in the kitchen. Thank you so much for asking that. I should have brought it. It's actually it's a very first and foremost, I want to say that we're here for you. It's very interesting that you asked this question right now, because I was having a similar conversation with my husband this past week. And that's what I was hoping you'd find. Thank you. There's a very interesting concept. First and foremost is that I don't know what, but the fact that you're asking, it's a very real question. It's a very painful question. It's a very hard question, and I can't say there's an answer. Like, and I actually had, so the question is for anyone who didn't hear it yet, and you can tell me if I missed any points, but the general idea of the question is, Bitachon is all nice and good and dandy, but the fact is that the time being, this gullus is bitter and it's dark, and even if everything is wonderful and beautiful, there's still going to be challenges. There's going to be pain. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be hardships. And sometimes those hardships are really, really hard. And even the highest tzaddikim who had the like highest levels of bitachon also lived a very painful, went through some very painful experiences. And so it's this question of, how can I trust that it's all going to be good and dandy when we know that even the people that trusted, it wasn't necessarily so good or didn't feel good and dandy, and that same gullus is the same gullus. And so we don't necessarily have a guarantee that our life is going to be smooth sailing and rainbows and butterflies. Like, that's not the right. Am I? So I'll be completely honest and vulnerable and tell you I'm going through the same thing. And I literally, for rains, I think some people were at my house for Shabbos when I was having this praying with my husband. And I said that, Bitachon for me, I'm a teacher and blah, blah, blah. But like, Bitachon for me is nice. I'm talking to myself this entire time, you should know. But Bitachon for me, like, Parnasa, Parnasa. Even though I have 4 kids and married, I still can okay, Parnasa. Somebody recently asked, like, oh, like, how do the bills work out when you have so many kids and you both work for nonprofits? And I'm like, yeah, it's a magical thing, bada bim, bada boom, And she was like, I was wondering. I knew it was magic somewhere in there. So like, yeah, okay. And when it comes to other struggles and like chinuch or myself or personal struggles or whatever, it's like, okay, fine. When it comes to certain aspects of the future, that's where I'm like, okay, this might be a rough going. Like, this might be an intense, and I had the exact same, I literally basically said the exact same thing. My example was, and Rabbi Akiva, when he was getting tortured, he was like, oh, yay, like, there's my bitachon right there. And so that's what my husband said. He said, at the end of the day, yes, he was being tortured, and yes, he was going through incredible amounts of pain. No one should ever suffer like that. But he was smiling. He was smiling.
All right, we're
No. So okay. Yes, exactly. So I understand. I'm not comparing in the sense of like, let's sign up. Who's first? Like, no, buddy. No. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about the appreciation that pain is pain, and that pain needs to be acknowledged, and it has to be dealt with, and it has to be worked through, and we're not meant to be going through pain. Like, yes, gullus is gullus, but it's not that Hashem wants us to go through pain. It's hard, and it sucks, and we want gullus to end, so we want to end this pain. So we shouldn't be satisfied with this. We want that to change. And not only that, but we have a responsibility to daven for everybody who needs to end that suffering, to end whatever pain they're going through. It's our job. We have to daven for them. We have to do whatever it takes to fix this, to help them, to change it for the good. And it's interesting because whenever we've done a few different types of Tanya courses. Whenever we do a certain chapter, a very painful chapter, I always say that this chapter is better learned when you're not going through the pain yourself. Because at that point, it's hard to feel it. But sometimes for ourselves, and only for ourselves, we can only tell this to ourselves, and no one can ever say this to anybody else. And that's why I'm like hesitant to even open my mouth, because I'm not saying, I'm talking to myself, closing my eyes, talking to myself out loud. Sometimes the pain that we go through could lead to a greater outcome in us, a greater outcome for ourselves and a greater outcome for those around us. And I know for a fact, I know that some of the most painful experiences I've dealt with in my life, Hashem has given it to me because I'm meant to gain something, and because I'm meant to turn around and help someone else with that something. Does that mean that I'm super happy and excited about all the pain that I went through? And I'm not. And it's stuff that needs to be dealt with and discussed in a mishpia or therapy, or a good cry on the couch with a best friend. Been there, done that. But at the end of the day, and I'll tell you, I know this is recorded, but one of the most painful things I went through, I actually went to a specific type of, I guess, therapy modality. And she was trying to release the trauma of it. And she kept trying to do something. And at one point I told her, I was like, it's not going to work, because I don't want the memory to go away. I want the trauma to go away, but I know that the lessons that I'm learning, Hashem put me in this position, in this situation right now, because Hashem put me in this situation with this experience right now, because I know at some point, and I hope never to, but I know at some point I'm going to help someone else with this. I'm going to turn around and be that support person for someone else who goes through this experience. She was blown out of her mind. She's like, I don't know what to do with you. But at the end of the day, I came out and I did not have the trauma. I didn't smell the scent and whatever anymore, but I definitely have the memory of what happened. And I definitely had the lessons that I learned through that experience. And I hate to say it, but a few months later, a very, very close friend of mine went through that same experience. And I said, okay, Hashem, I got your message. I meant to be that support person for her. And I was able to sit and cry out with her and be in her pain. And so you can't say that to anybody. You can't say that to anybody. But for ourselves, we should realize that whatever it is that we're going through, we should try our hardest to minimize the pain, obviously. It's not like, okay, I'm a martyr, like, give me more. Chas v'shalom. We should try our hardest. We should reach out for help. We should never, ever feel alone. Someone's always there with you that you can turn to. Whoever it is, you can call me if you need someone to just talk to. Always reach out for help and don't feel alone. Hashem is the one. Hashem is with you. Hashem is taking care of you. The pain is pain and it sucks and we have to try and minimize it. And I hope that this will be our last discussion on pain, because this is our first discussion and celebration of Mashiach coming right now. No more suffering, no more problems, no more challenges, ups or downs. And may we only celebrate together in simchas. I don't know if I answered accurately, and I don't know if I answered in a way that was, I know that I put my heart out, and I hope that what left my heart enters whoever's heart it needs to enter. So, Chaim. And with that, it's Hashem. We'll continue next week.
Fine.
Ba-ba-da-ba.